Welcome to our Ayurveda Talk as we continue to talk about the Ayurvedic spring cleanse. We are now going to start breaking it down. I do have a course set up, so if you want to do the Ayurvedic cleanse, the first class online is March 27th. So you could sign up for that. Reach out to me and I will get you set up so you can get that link. That's going to be next Wednesday. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about when we are moving into spring. We are moving into kapha season, and Ayurveda only has 3 seasons. There's a pitta season. Remember, pitta is ruled by the fire element, so that's very logical. That's summertime. And then you have fall, winter. That's vata season, ruled by the elements of ether and air. And then spring season is ruled by the elements of water and earth. So that's kapha season. And we are in that season now. What we need to start being aware of are the qualities of kapha. And we talked a little bit about it last week, that we're really in a spring cleanse trying to remove those qualities of kapha that can go into excess. When I say they're going into excess, I'm meaning that oftentimes we don't really pay attention to our diet. A lot of times people think, well, I'm eating really healthy. But if you're eating foods, even if they're healthy foods, if they are foods that are going to contribute to causing excess of that season, then you can cause an imbalance. So even if it's healthy foods, if it's, say you're in pitta time, pitta season, that's hot, and you're eating hot, spicy, organic, healthy, from your garden foods, you're still going to cause a pitta imbalance if you are a pitta individual and you tend to run hot. So kapha season is a little bit different. It has attributes that make us feel heavy, dense. We move slower. There's usually more of a oily kind of feeling for some of us. Damp. There is a softness though, because when you have a lot of water, water softens things. It's just like, remember when I was a kid, we used to collect glass at the ocean and it would be softened by the ocean water. And so the glass would be really beautiful and smooth on the end. So water softens things. Also viscous, which means that when you have a lot of kapha, it means that there can be like more of a stickiness. So literally inside, you can start feeling more sticky, which is going to make you feel more stagnant and kind of stuck, like things aren't moving. But when you have that viscousness, then it means you're more cohesive. You want a balance there. But it causes this firmness and compaction, like you feel compact, which makes like kapha individuals have really sturdy joints, really sturdy structure and build and bones and muscles. So because of that viscousness, they have a solid structure. Also, a lot of the qualities of kapha are cloudy. An example of that is in the morning, that's the kapha time of the day. And that's when we tend to feel more sluggish and cloudy. Like if you're going to have brain fog, it'll happen more in the morning. People kind of need to get things going to get their mind to be able to get engaged, especially if you have a lot of kapha that's built up in the body. So people get confused sometimes. They think, well, I'm not a kapha constitution, so I don't need to worry about this. Well, even if you are vata, I have vata clients who have a kapha imbalance. That means they have excess kapha that has built up in their body, in their mind, in their emotions. So cloudiness can happen, making us have a foggy brain. And that's a lot of times why people like to have coffee, because the coffee is stimulating. It's going to stimulate that cloudiness. There's also there's like a part of that heaviness can be because of there's a sweetness. Kapha tends to hold on to more of the sweet taste. What does sweet taste do? It moves deep into the tissues. Sweet taste is the most nourishing. So foods that metabolize sweet, remember, everything you eat is going to metabolize in a certain way and have a reaction with your organs and your tissues. That's why herbs are healing. Food is healing because you can eat the right foods, balance things out. If you have too much heat, you can eat foods that actually pull out heat, right? We can take herbs that actually pull out heat. So we do the same thing with kapha. Kapha tends to have more of that heaviness, that denseness that oftentimes gets built up by the sweet taste. They're attracted to the sweet taste. They like it. It just takes them out of balance. But what does a sweet taste do? It actually stimulates more formation of tissue, more formation of mucus, fluids. Also, people who are kapha, they tend to have more of a higher sperm count. So if you're interested in your reproductive organs, you want to maybe bring in a little bit more sweet taste, as long as you're not taking it out of balance. It will also cause cravings, though, towards sweet. So you have to be really careful with the sweet taste. Kapha people do not need sweet taste, but it is built up in their body. So it is one of those qualities that needs to get removed. Okay, also salty. Salty taste, when we are taking in salty, what does it do? It stimulates digestion. It also helps with growth. It gives us energy. It maintains our electrolytes. So it helps with equilibrium. It's great for abnormal cravings, and it helps with water retention. However, kapha doesn't need retention, and that's what we're trying to remove. So I like to talk about this because we want to help remove heaviness out of our diet. We want to help activate the body, so kapha tends to move slow. That means we tend to feel a little more slow and sluggish in the spring. You want to do the opposite. You want to stimulate. We're actually doing a yoga practice tonight. It is a stimulating practice to help balance kapha excess. You want to help bring in warmth, because kapha runs cold. And when kapha runs cold, then you end up with clammy skin and hands. You will then end up having like more stagnant, lack of appetite. So you do the opposite in spring. We do not eat anything cold. I talk about that a lot. You shouldn't have any ice, period. It doesn't matter what season it is. So really pay attention to cold foods, cold drinks, ice. Remove it, because we want to do the opposite. We also want to do the opposite of oily. So we are not bringing in more oils when we are trying to reduce kapha. And also, now, this depends on your constitution, but if you're noticing that you have too much moisture and you're feeling damp, then that means you might have a kapha buildup. So we want to also start removing that. That might mean that you need to incorporate foods that are going to dry you out a little bit more, so more astringent type of foods. Okay, so remember, kapha is also static. That means they like to sit around. So once again, you add activity, more activity, and especially in the spring. So we want to start moving. And honestly, I can tell you a lot of people naturally start feeling like they want to be more active. When the sun is out, all of a sudden everybody's at the park. Everybody's walking around. Everybody's out doing this and doing that. That's natural. But if you're noticing you have kapha imbalance, then you need to get out and get moving. The more activity you have in spring, the better. Because spring, we tend to be more stuck. So you want to activate, get everything going. Okay, so those are the qualities of kapha that we want to pay attention to. Pay attention to the foods that you're eating. What is it doing? If you're eating salt and it's causing retention, get salt out of your diet. If you're eating sweet taste, sweet foods, and it's causing you to feel more heavy, you got to eliminate it. So we have to really lighten up our diet, and we can do that spring cleanse, really support ourselves towards lightening everything out and removing the excess kapha that might have built up or is building up, because that's naturally happening, is building up in the body. Okay, so if you have any questions on those qualities of kapha, reach out to me. This is going to really hopefully support you of why we're doing that spring cleanse, because we're wanting to pay attention to all of these qualities of kapha that can cause an imbalance, right? If you have too much kapha, you're going to feel more lethargic, fatigued. You're not going to be able to get around, and oftentimes you will get sick. A cold, a head cold, a flu, those kinds of things happen. All right, so reach out to me for the Ayurvedic information, and let's get started with our kapha reducing practice. This is an evening practice, so we will end it with winding down, but we are starting out with a more stimulating practice. Let's get it going.